Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to your Saturday night edition of Wrestle Talk Show. I'm your host, Joshua Zimmerman, here to bring you the latest and greatest professional wrestling news, bits, rumors, ins and outs, anything and everything pro wrestling, we cover it. Just to once again prove that fact, we have insider information, media released information from the shareholder conference that's held right before the conference call. They all get together, and I guess Vince caters and wines and dines them, and I wanted to come up with a joke here, and given more time, I guess I could have come up with something funny, but on the fly seems to be funny too. But it's almost like saying a week before you release that your pay-per-view business blows, you're hurting in regards, the business is in a general downturn, pay-per-view used to be your livelihood. It's almost like inviting them to a party a couple days before, or actually better, having the party right before the conference call, getting them all shit-faced and inebriated, whatever adjective you want to use. That way when you break it to them that people that are investing millions and companies and investment firms that have millions in this company, it kind of, when you're all out of your, when you're not in your right mind, I guess, hearing, hey, remember the stock that used to be worth damn near $22, if not more, a share, and as of last week it was $12. Oh yeah, while you're refilling your drink there, stock is about $9, $9.99 a share right now. And oh yeah, on top of that, the pay-per-view is a downturn, and we want to stay PG, but we're going to call this pay-per-view Extreme Rules and kind of not do justice for the title, because you know we can't go outside the boundaries of family friendly. And when we do, we have to almost have sort of apologize for our actions. I don't know, just me, but the way I see it is like everybody put the R-Truth thing in perspective sort of the way I did. Like, they didn't brag about it, but they re-showed it, more or less saying, we're sorry about it, but this is what we did to make the heel turn happen. It's done. We're probably not going to do it again, but we just wanted to let you know that we acknowledge that you had a problem with it, but it still doesn't change. That's how we decided to do it. So I'll be real eager to listen to and or get the footnotes. Well, I listen to all of them, because I think Vince is kind of, if I was a shareholder sitting in that conference room, I'd ask for somebody. I'm not saying it's supposed to be a circus and you're supposed to have fun. You're talking money and losses and gains and potential ways to make money. But somebody that one conference call, he's depressed, calling the loss of wrestlers the suffering of the perfect storm, where we had success, and because HBK and Undertaker are gone, this should explain away why we're suffering such losses, but it really doesn't when you look at the pay-per-view business, because it comes back to the primary argument of this happens to any athlete in any promotion, and they get old, and what most people do, say football, as I use the analogy a lot, most are scouting younger people to replace those that are MVPs or are at an age where they're set for retirement, and the team wants a fresher outlook for their team, whether it be a wide receiver or a quarterback that's been there forever. eventually every athlete comes to an end. Some leave on successful notes, some stretch it out to where it's not successful. And that's where my argument on the Ric Flairs and the Mick Foleys of the business is, where go out with your record being respected, not always. I had a friend literally was surprised to hear that Ric Flair, as of yesterday, not Ric Flair, blaming the wrong person here. Another friend in the room said remembered Scott, something about, they were talking about Scott Steiner and their memories of him. And the other friend asked if Scott Steiner was still around. And the person replied, yeah. And I said he wrestles for TNA. And then I corrected myself and I said he works for TNA. I wouldn't call what he does now wrestling. I would just call it, considering most TNA contracts are pay per appearance, they basically pay for the name. He gets to do his dumb shit and hide behind the shield of being a once Hall of Famer. But my argument is when your work goes from successful, and especially the ones that retire and come back, but just to end this and get into the show, most people, at least me, I would want to end it. If I knew I could still do it, I would maybe still have those urges. But if I knew, like HBK, for example, if I knew I could still do it, but the quality wasn't going to be what I've delivered for years, then it's better for me to just bail out being respected for what I've done. But we'll get into that. So, ins and outs on the shareholder conference right before the conference call. This, I believe next week, or it already happened, or one of the two. I believe it's next week. I believe I said May 5th or something like that. I believe it's next Thursday or Friday, but I know it's in one of the previous videos. So just scroll up and you'll find it. Like we always do, we want to thank our YouTube, Facebook, anybody that watches the show, subscribes to the show. Shout out to the Dale and Rob, people who comment on the videos daily. Thank you for your support. Justin, thank you for your interest in being a columnist. I accept. Just submit to me, and you know who you are. You recently friended me on Facebook. Just submit to me what you had in mind. This is the type of production that I want everybody to do something they like, rather than in regards to covering wrestling, rather than be assigned something that they do because they're forced to. You get better results when you like your job, especially when it's something that, as we grow, the people will be better compensated. But right now, it's more of a, if you like wrestling, if you have a love for wrestling, want to join a startup and help us turn this into a wrestling production, a wrestling review analyst production show, however you want to word it, we would greatly appreciate it. Submit all inquiries to cwecompany@gmail.com. Make sure to put it in the subject so I don't mistake it for something to be read or posted on the show or the forums. Speaking of the forums, check out WrestleTalkShow.webs.com for our forums. Click support the show to find out ways through PayPal you can help make this production even better. You have my personal guarantee, and you'll get confirmation of your donation for tax reasons and to prove it. Every single dollar will go into better producing it, where we can do, I'm hoping later on within the year, to be doing shows like live on the location. As I go to, say, for example, an indie event, I give you the show live from the event and then excerpts from the show. In regards to a fan mail, a fan post on the second to the latest video. I believe the Snooki one, or right before the bonus Snooki material, you guys mentioned, or one of you mentioned, about Josh is a great guy and has great views, but he needs another co-host. I am working on that. I'm talking with the Sickness, who used to be from this area, who now lives in Arizona at the time. He has a book out, which I'll be able to plug next week, but I plan on giving him a ring. As he said, call him anytime. My normal host, who has 10 plus years of knowledge in the business, no other way to cut this, changed his number and didn't tell me what it is. But by the next episode, some sort of co-host, I don't know if it'll be for the whole show, but some sort of co-host will be back. And then after that, we will schedule regular co-host. Due to the co-host thing, though, just a note, your shows might come out every other day instead of when I do it every day, just to give it a 2-day build. That way when we do a show, because like this show, for example, in the conference itself before the first quarter earnings was important, and to get news on that. But outside of that, there was very little news that hasn't been reported since our last video. So ratings are in and stuff, but this gives us, with a nice mix, it fills a good 30-45 minutes. And there's nothing wrong with, like the other day, it was a 25-minute show where it was just the draft, and that was just, I should have called that breaking news just to cover the draft. But my ideal for quality to you is to give you 30 minutes or better. And if you look in the last 10 videos, a couple, as I bragged before, youtube.com, our channel, youtube.com/CWE Company. Subscribe to us. Each video you like, remember to click the like button. Friend us on Facebook and Twitter, both at CWE Company. By the way, I'm just getting the plugs out early. Support the show financially, like I began to say. But if you can't do it financially, we completely understand economic hard times. And I always say the next best thing to money when you're growing anything, whether it be a flower or a company, word of mouth and a fan base is what every good promotion needs and what every good project needs. People that believe in it. To our 40 plus subscribers on the YouTube channel, thank you. You know my goal within the next week now is 80 subscribers, but I don't think we'll reach that. But even if 1 or 2 join next week, that's 1 or 2 more that we get, and we're thankful for each and every one of them. But refer a friend. If you like insider wrestling, it doesn't just review the show, analyzes the business in and out. This is definitely your place. And again, the logo contest either has to have the initials for the show, Wrestle Talk Show, WTS, or the full name, Wrestle Talk Show. You can submit JPEGs or your drawings, or however you want to create the new logo, to cwecompany@gmail.com. Submissions will be accepted up until May 14th at midnight, so the winner and prize can be announced on the May 15th installment, where, as I mentioned a couple days ago, we will either launch the site, the new site then, including the members only area, or at that point it'll be less than a month away before we do our 1-year anniversary. So I'm still talking with the 2 other men that helped me run this project on what would be better, because we do want a lot of newer stuff as we celebrate our first year. But we'll get back into that at the end. But let's move into what you came for, your wrestling ratings, news, and everything else. We'll start with the ratings. TNA Impact this past Thursday for April 28th, 2011, scored a 1.09 cable rating with an average of 1.5 million viewers. The rating falls yet again. It seemed, if you're keeping track, and my friends at the pwtorch.com do keep track, but for all you people that already hate TNA, it's not getting any better, because I reported a couple videos ago a 5-week trend, so just guesstimating we're already at 6 or 7 weeks, and literally it seems like it goes down 0.10 every week. As I conclude, the ratings fell again as last week's edition. This week's edition scored a 1.09, and last week scored a 1.17. And then add to that the 5-week trend I did before that, and you're noticing, about 7 weeks where it started and then weekly went down. And I made the argument that because Wade Keller and James Codwell break it down by quarter for you, if you did the math on your own, you could do it. And I really, I'm not disrespecting them. I think it's great they cover it that much. But quarterly, when it comes to TNA, they should actually go by that, because in recent reports, even though it gets an overall rating, TNA has something with its divas, something WWE doesn't. And if you've ever looked at it after hearing this report or just hearing the PW Torch livecast, when they break down the quarter ratings, you can literally look at the quarter they're talking about. Then they'll review the matches that happened during that quarter. And unless it's a headliner like an AJ Styles involvement and not overblown and stuff like that, if it's something that the crowd's into, like the Angle Jarrett feud or something along those lines, or a knockouts match especially, they've noticed. Well, TNA hasn't noticed because they're running their company with their eyes closed and their hands like this, walking around the back. I hope Dixie doesn't fire me today. I hope that new executive at Sci-Fi is a nice guy. Hey, maybe I should get him some donuts. Hey, I'm Eric Bischoff. Maybe I should, make it obvious by introducing myself first. That way, when he fires me, he can fire me on a first name basis and not Mr. Bischoff. So they don't know, and this is what baffles me. I mean, I understand I'm not the most knowledgeable. I give you my take, and you guys take it from there, and I'm sure you're like me, where you watch a variety of them, or listen to a variety of review shows, or watch a review show, or the round table, whatever your preference is. But over 7 weeks, if my math is correct, at least 5 if it's not. It's only off by 2 if my math's not right, but I'm 99.9% sure it is. From when we gave you the 5-week trend, 2 more episodes have come in. Where is the person in management, since they claim to have this structured creative team and management and somebody who has the final word and on Wikipedia lists multiple partners? Who's the person that's looking at these ratings over the last, well, I'll be nice for a minute and not mention the last 2 weeks, but where's the guy that for cable distribution and airing rights or whatever they have to go through to get onto TV? Actually, there it is. I answered my own question. Where's the people at Spike? And more importantly, considering it's their promotion, where's the oversight in TNA that gets to it as or before Spike does and says, hey, we're worried about this new executive that we don't have a feel for yet, and he's already made it clear that he has more intent on non-scripted drama and stuff like that. So who thinks it's a good idea that this guy should see the last 5 weeks before he came in? Because I believe this guy's only been in Spike officially for a week or two. And as we reported, the changes themselves are implemented, which we all know takes time to see real effect. But joking again, but it's kind of joking sarcasm when the TNA file crosses his desk and he sees, just for example, like if I were looking at it, I would want to see, all right, where were they a month before I came here compared to what I'm looking at now? And then when you look at that chart, say it happens, for example, in the next month. When you look at that chart and you see for the previous month, right when you got there, they were steadily losing ratings, not fluctuating. Steadily, quarterly, they were getting viewership hype depending on the matches. Like I said, TNA has something with its knockouts. The rest of the product is up for anybody's interpretation at the time. I'm not going to get angry anymore. My Dixie Carter, it's archived on youtube.com/CWE Company. But I believe, I know it's called Dear Dixie Carter, Get a Clue, or Dixie Carter, Get a Clue. It's a 2-part series when we were only able to do 15-minute installments via YouTube Direct Record. But also Facebook.com/CWE Company. In my notes, I believe I've either outlined or written my version of a letter to Dixie Carter, and I've always argued that she can be on TV. She's the president of the company, but, and you know, it's got to be fun for Vince too. It's fun for me. Like when we were going to do that event back in August, I was proud of my men, was proud of the way we organized it, was proud of the flyer promotion we covered, the ground we covered. We covered all of Levittown, Croydon, and Bristol. I mean, literally, back streets and all, in about 3 days, and had 2 weeks to plan the card. So that's what made it more disappointing when the ring didn't show up, but that's neither here nor there. But to round this up, the man who's going to be helping Spike boost itself, and Spike has mentioned that has seen TNA as dwindling in the ratings, but has always seemed to be comfortable with it. And I always argued why, because Spike original programming that they put out does better than TNA. And then to reiterate another rant, now that I think about it a little more, here's what doesn't make sense. Spike TV carries Impact. All right, follow with me here, because this could get a little perplexing. And I'm not implying that you're stupid. I'm just saying that smart people, just because they're an executive doesn't make them smart. But here's how things went down over the last couple months. Spike carries Impact. Spike is content with the 1 point whatever they decide to score under a 2.0. Spike is content with that, but due to lack of interest, and even to the point where we all knew the show was so bad, so their exit strategy was, let's not have the conclusion to the main event on Impact. Let's bleed it in to Reaction, so they're forced to watch it. That's great for your first 5 minutes, but anybody who saw the show knew that, alright, I've got to watch Impact for the first 5 minutes because they're only going to take a commercial break and then they're going to come back, but instead of saying Impact, you're going to be watching a Candid Camera or a reaction skit. Spike TV cans Reaction because of ratings and they didn't see it going anywhere. The summary is the rating. They weren't happy with it, but they requested after they canned Reaction, which I mentioned in a previous video about a month ago. They canned Reaction and then they turn around, and which by the way was a part Eric Bischoff production. He played a major role in producing that show. They turn around and can Reaction, and then before TNA management can accept that they're on shaky ground, because now they only have Impact on TV, and they might need to step it up. That would have been the initiative. Can your spin-off show until you can get your flagship, or what was your flagship 4 or 5 years ago, back in line. No, they turn around, they sign off on the termination of Reaction, and then tell TNA management, we don't want Reaction, but we'd like another TNA produced product to fill its spot. Now, I wouldn't want to see anybody, even my worst enemy, go through this nightmare, but isn't it like swapping out one for the other? If that was your goal, then why not run Reaction and stick with the 0.6 or the less than 1.0 it got, because your thought of, oh, the Impact crowd after the main event will stick around? No, because they've already watched 2 hours of a show that, 3/4 of a show that didn't make sense. Their main event probably ended open-ended, so it wasn't really an answer. And one second, just come over, dude. I'm on the phone with my buddy from prison. Just come right over. Sorry. I'm back. You would have been better off just taking the 0.6, whatever Reaction got, the reason it got canned, taking the 0.6, if you wanted another show to take its place, at least there's something there as a placeholder for after Impact, because my argument was, when Vince got rid of everything, when the buyout happened, they got rid of everything to where you had wrestling like every other day or every day except one. And let them, even though it's a crappy show, ride the rating out, because it's better than not having anything in that spot. Or I guess not, because you could always throw a show that aired reruns and it would probably scored better than Reaction. But just on the argument that you'll can Reaction and you want another TNA produced product similar, more or less, they said they liked the concept but didn't think it was applied well. Well, it was Eric Bischoff. And in Eric Bischoff's mind, despite what he did with Thunder and all his achievements, I've congratulated him before, but when you're dealing with Eric Bischoff seems to think that he never left WCW. They just, switched. It's the same building. They just switched the letters and added 2 more sides to the ring for a long time. But end of rant is, if you're going to replace it with another TNA produced product and you actually liked Eric Bischoff's work, it hurts to say that, it really does, more than the actual disability I have does, then ride out Reaction until TNA, since you obviously want to be in bed with them anyway, ride out Reaction, don't get rid of it and then turn around and say we want something else to take its spot. Ride it out, and then when Eric and company, or whoever, TNA and management, production team, whoever, comes up to you with, in comparison, and sits down with you and on 2 TVs shows you Reaction and then shows you what their latest creation was, you can then, without skipping a beat, and all you would do is gain ratings, because you can't go any, in theory, the show is of no value to the network below, but from a 0.7 to a 0.6, you're probably going to get canceled or asked not to be renewed. But this way you could have, once you had the product that you wanted in that place, pulled Impact off the air while during the week, while it wasn't, not Impact, Reaction, pull it out of the format, and then your next Impact or Spike TV, give them a minute, 30 seconds, a minute of TV time to promote that Reaction has been replaced with the following and create some hype about it. But we'll get off of that so we can finish the ratings news. ProWrestling.com, I'm bouncing around here because I just realized I didn't have 2 of the ratings. ProWrestling.com is reporting that Friday night, this past Friday night, April 29th, SmackDown scoring 1.96. I listed it as unconfirmed because I don't know. To be honest with you, I might be a little biased if it doesn't come from Figure 4, PW, ProWrestling.net, or like right in the first 5 of the search engine result, considering I'm very specific when I'm looking for detailed information, then I usually don't hold much merit to it, but the site looked like it'd been around a while. So again, Pro Wrestling, we told you the TNA rating, just to recap real quick. The April 28th edition got a 1.09, ratings falling for the 7th week in a row. Where are the people that care about ratings, and who's gonna get this show out of the show and company, I should say, company more than show. If the company were stable, your product would be stable. It just goes hand in hand. And now under your, I have to look for the Monday night rating in a minute. Forgive me, guys, but like I said, we do this on the fly. We'll move into your wrestling rumors, so it gives me something to talk about while I'm looking up that information. Yo! In your wrestling news and rumors, sorry, I'm expecting someone. In your wrestling news and rumors, and just to get this party started, WWE handling the fallout, or trying to, of WWE dividend cut. You remember that story that we reported on, that the shareholders wanted, since they've been losing money over the last 2 years, they didn't want, more or less in a nutshell, seen a lot of spending and said, And the dividend payouts were the same. And I said at the time, I guess Vince's theory was keep paying them what they're used to, because as long as that doesn't differ, they won't ask any questions. And I can always deflect them at the shareholder meeting. That's what I don't like when you have, I mean, I know it's typical business. Like, there's some things that you can iron out before your shareholders find out. But when you're something like this and you're televised, weekly, monthly, syndication, character ownership, all kinds of different DVD, WWE studios, all different areas of business that these said investors have invested in and want return. Please give me one moment. Yeah. Yeah, you downstairs? Alright, I'll throw the keys down. Give me 1 second. Dinner's here. Give me 1 second, guys. Again, recording on the fly. Sorry about that, guys. You down there? Yep. Coming down. And I apologize for that. And just to forewarn you, the company I'm having for dinner didn't know that I'd be recording, but I wanted to get this out of the way. But just to create a topic point while I find the ratings for that, WWE handling the fallout after recent dividend cut. You remember that story being reported a couple weeks ago about how the shareholders were concerned that they're being paid the same amount, but the company's been losing money for the last 2 years. This rang more true as WWE stock fell Friday at the close of the market to $10 a share. Hey, remember the days when it was worth $26, $27 a share? Not anymore. It closed at $9.99 a share, rebounded during the day at $10.51. And to be honest with you, throughout the week, I haven't reported on it because it seemed minuscule, but it's been flirting between it's been going down. When I first seen it at like $12.50 and then 11 something. So to see it at $9.99 isn't a total shock. This past Friday, yesterday, April 30th, 2011, was the opening for movie star / pro wrestler Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in the 5th installment of The Fast and the Furious. And I'm sorry, but is anybody else tired of repeats of repeats of repeats? Have we not learned anything of the dangers of sequels? And just because Vin Diesel's in it doesn't mean it's a good movie. I'm sorry. Just a thought. Moving along, it received a strong box office draw the opening weekend of Fast 5. See, they don't even put Furious in it anymore. They want you to think it's so different. They're not Furious anymore. They're just fast. You know, because if we called it Fast and the Furious 5, nobody would come and see it because all you'd have to do is watch the trailer. Oh, Vin Diesel's gonna race. Okay. I can save you $9 right now and just tell you the movie in 20 minutes. It's up to you. But starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, it drew in this weekend, and we're only 1 day into it, $83.6 million in ticket sales according to weekend estimates. It was easily the highest It was easily the highest opening weekend draw of 2011. It was also the third highest opening draw for a non-summer holiday release of all time. UFC 131, Brock Lesnar wants to fight again, even though the man can't take a punch. Somebody explained that to me. I'm big, I'm mean, so I'm just going to put this tap out shirt on and you're not going to fuck with me. Brock Lesnar making a comeback could result in TNA being decimated, and you ask why. TNA buy rates might sink even lower than estimated. Released for promotional consideration by UFC, this is the official description of the bout. Former champion Brock Lesnar starts his road back to a shot at the UFC heavyweight title, but first he must get through #1 contender Junior Dos Santos, plus Shane Carwin takes on John Olive Emilio. Hold on, Olive. Yeah, you can pronounce that. And Kenny Florin makes his featherweight debut against Diego Nunes. UFC 131, Lesnar versus Dos Santos, Saturday, June 11th, live on pay-per-view. How this affects TNA, you ask? Well, that same weekend, after someone gets done spending $50 on a UFC pay-per-view, TNA has its 11th annual Slammiversary on June 12th, 2011. I personally call for worldwide 125 buys, no more, because you're not going to spend $50, and you might spend it again on WWE or something that made sense, but since it's TNA, save your money. Watch the reruns, that's better. Indie wrestler, in a story we reported on, I believe it was during the summer it happened, or near Thanksgiving, or no, right after Thanksgiving. Indie wrestler Nick Gage was given prison time for a bank robbery scandal reported on and committed last year. On March 15th, alright, so I lied about it being near Thanksgiving. March 15th, no, I was right. I'm reading it wrong. I'm ahead of myself. March 15th, Gage pleaded guilty to a second-degree count of robbery. His prison sentence was handed down on Friday. Gage must serve, quote, at least 85%, end quote, of his prison sentence, which was decided by Judge Samuel D. Natal in New Jersey Superior Court in Camden. According to the report from the December 27th incident, Gage stole $3,000 from a PNC bank in Collingswood, New Jersey, after threatening a bank teller with a gun. Judge Natal ordered Gage to pay the bank teller $150 as compensation for trauma caused and repay the bank the money he had stolen. What he doesn't realize is that in every state that I know of, they're going to be giving him a phone call, and any kind of theft, there's a state minimum of a $1,500 fine on top of court costs and whatever punishment you get. But he's going to jail, and he'll need to be flipping more than just fries when he gets out. Actually, I take that back. Gage did not endear himself to New Jersey officials by going MMA for 1 week. Yeah, well, we knew that. He disappeared, and then he turned himself in, thinking that a week later, if he did it himself, they wouldn't be so hard on him. After the robbery, before he turned himself in. At the time, he had bail of $150,000, so they got him on skipping bail. Kurt Angle planning an Olympic comeback for 2012, and really, do we have to watch it? Angle, who won the gold medal in 1996, is going to begin training for the Olympics again soon. The journey begins in August, with the first steps being the U.S. Open and the Olympic team trials. Quote, it's not just this old man trying to trying to lash out to get publicity, end quote. Angle told WTAE Channel 4 in Pittsburgh on Friday, quote, it's about really making the team and making a point that, you know what, the 40s is not old. It's the new young, end quote. 40 is the, well, I've always joked with people I like 40s the new 20, so I guess that's humorous. Regarding his current standing in TNA, Angle said he plans to sign a multi-year contract and work a part-time schedule while continuing to pursue his acting career. He also promoted his line of food products. Quote, everyone asks me, how can you do all of these things? And I always tell them, I'll rest when I die. He might be resting sooner than that, because those who've seen Lockdown, seen that power bomb that he completely almost snapped his neck in half. So his job won't be the thing that kills him. He will be what kills him. But that's for another debate. Or actually, that's been discussed. He was just stupid. 2 different times he put his body on the line for no reason. Not even to sell anything, for no reason at all. Angle stated that he went on and said that he tried in 2004 while still working for World Wrestling Entertainment, but it didn't materialize. But it's Kurt Angle, but, you know, whatever. TNA wrestler Chris Sabin legitimately injured his knee during a match against, you know I can't pronounce the name of this, guys, Anargula, that aired on Thursday's Impact episode. During the match, which was taped last Wednesday at the Impact TV taping, Sabin went for a springboard clothesline and tweaked his knee when Anargula was out of position to take the move. And my favorite, beer and wrestling. Doesn't that sound like a good mix? Well, it's going to be a reality soon. WWE announced that they have arranged a beer sponsorship with Miller and Coors for this summer. WWE CEO Vince McMahon said that they are looking to utilize talent in the marketing, which essentially means wrestlers will be selling beer ads. Hey, I got no problem with John Cena telling me to drink Miller Lite. You know, that's just me. This way, you don't have to, if you remember the Stone Cold date, the cheese I put in the... Oh, no, I was looking for the white cheese that I brought up. If you remember the Stone Cold days, every time he opened the... Oh, yeah, I did. Every time he opened a can of beer, he really couldn't tell you what kind of maker it was. This time, they'll be drinking Coors and they'll be able to show you the labels till their little heart's content. But this kind of contradicts themselves after they got their balls in a bunch last month when the Mattel toy company said that they weren't happy with things that they were doing. But we'll see where that amounts to. Your beer drinker. I know a lot of people that watch wrestling, get a pizza, drink a couple beers, it works. Moving on to your next one. Like I said, there's a lot of news and more of it's just the shareholders meeting. But, So after hearing beer advertisements in wrestling, you'd think that the PG rating is gone, right? No. In the conference call, in the shareholders conference that we're going to outline in a moment, he justified it. He justified the seemingly non-PG marketing approach that they won't be deviating from the PG product. Quote, it's still PG. It's not TVMA. If you're MA, a number of sponsors won't touch you. People have a comfort zone with WWE right now, he said. So basically, see, this is what I've been arguing for since I started this. He's worried about the sponsors. He literally took the word, well, I'll address it in the why he took the word wrestling out of the company name. But it's all to become a global entertainment company. He wants everyone to love not wrestling, the WWE. And to the wrestling fan, the WWE, WWF means wrestling. Not, like I said, give it a year. It'll be WWE Presents the Talent Show. And it'll just be a bunch of clowns and karaoke contests. And Britney Spears might be there because they'll need a guest host who's not in her right mind. And I can think of a couple. You know, the Kardashians will probably get in on it. You know,
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore. You know, they'll send a few grenades and, you know, do their hair up with gel, and we can all be styling and not profiling. But enough with my poorly planned humor. I admit it's dry, but you'll learn to love it. He went on to say it's important that when they involve beer as a sponsor, their other partners like Kmart have to feel comfortable. Oh, yeah, because we wouldn't want Martha Stewart to get upset that, you know, her people are drinking beer, they're going to spend their money on beer and not a bedroom set that is the cost of some people's rent. No, we wouldn't want that. Just because it says Martha Stewart on it. Get the fuck out of here. And I mean this seriously. If they're that worried about, it's like the Gilbert Gottfried thing. If Affleck knew what kind of comedian I'm just setting an example here. Affleck knew what kind of a comedian he was. He was edgy. So for him to be edgy over the trauma in Japan, it was a tragedy. But that's his job. He's a comedian. And he's been a distasteful comedian. That's how he made his career. So the question would come, if you know this, then you knew this when you made him your sponsor, but fire him when he does what he knows how to do. I don't know. Things that make sense must not be. It must be me. I'm convinced it's me. We want Kmart to feel comfortable so that little blue light bulb will still come on at night. Quote, we're not going to do anything outlandish that may tarnish them in terms of image, Mcmahon said. Alright, so to take it full spectrum and get off the jokes and whatnot, they want their product to be related to Kmart and all their partners, because since they're all in bed with each other, if WWE does something wrong, that's why you got the apology from Michael Cole to Glad last week, because God forbid you joke and call somebody a fag, so somebody jumps up and says, I resent that. But it's more, it more or less means they want to keep everybody happy, so the wrestling will suffer. The quality of the entertainment leading into the wrestling will suffer because it's got to be PG themed, and it's all to keep the toy company and the retailer happy. WWE marketing, like I just mentioned, WWE marketing executive during the conference mentions why they dropped the word wrestling from the company name. WWE marketing executive Michelle Wilson addressed the decision to drop, quote, wrestling from the company's official name, saying it's part of a, quote, vision to expand. Wilson said WWE's executives held a meeting at the end of 2010 to come up with a new plan to, quote, improve, fix, and grow the core business while finding new initiatives to become, quote, become more than just a wrestling organization. Wilson defended the decision by citing the KFC model to be known more than fried food, and Apple dropping, quote, computer from their name to expand into other product lines. Quote, not to say that we're ever going to take our eye off the ball of our heritage being wrestling, but how do we grow beyond that? End quote, Wilson said about the line of thinking. I don't think KFC and the wrestling thing relates, because when you go into one meeting 1 week ago and say, we want to use our hundreds of millions in excess money to buy other entertainment companies and do other shows, and then more or less drop wrestling out of it. Like, you can add things to it like you always did at WrestleMania. You had Mike Tyson be a guest, you had a musical act, you had Kid Rock on an episode of Raw. You can be known and still stick to your heritage. I mean, especially when you come out and say, we still have our eye on the ball of sticking with our heritage. Well, what if we didn't question that? Now that makes me suspicious that you automatically know that's where we're going to go, because no wrestling company in their right mind, that's like me saying, I'm not a wrestling promoter, I'm an entertainment promoter. No, I'm in the business of wrestling. There is a difference. You can use wrestling and still get what you want without changing the whole dynamics. And lastly in the news, WWE plans to launch more TV programming and a twist on the WWE network. Vince McMahon said WWE may have other programs in the future within the NBC Universal family, which currently includes Raw and Tough Enough on USA Network and SmackDown on Sci-Fi. Regarding the loss of superstars, McMahon said the show, quote, won't be going anywhere, and there, quote, will be a place for superstars and new programming that will be coming down, end quote. WWE suggested that they are looking to monetize in-ring live event content for distribution through the likes of Amazon, Google, and Netflix. So basically they're going to sounds like they're going to try and reach a deal with Netflix to put Raw, SmackDown, and those special 3-hour deals and extra content on Netflix and all the other places they have distribution deals with, which isn't a bad idea, but I think he's a little late to the party, because 24 hours after Raw ends, if you search enough, well, not even enough, all you have to do is know exactly what to type, and you can watch, they're in parts, but you can watch whole movies on YouTube for free. You don't even really need Netflix as long as you can tolerate that it's in parts. But we're going to conclude it there. And again, I'm going to release another episode later tonight since there's so much news on the shareholder conference itself. Let me just get our plugs out of the way. Feel free to visit our friends at pwtorch.com. James Codwell and Wade Keller do a daily wrestling review show, an hour long, Monday nights 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday through Friday 5:30 to 6:30. SmartWrestlingFan.com, their name is their address. Every Tuesday night, streaming live 9 p.m. Eastern to about midnight. And again, our friend Jason Powell at ProWrestling.net. And finally, this is how unselfish we are ourselves. Feel free to visit our YouTube channel, where you can visit this video and over 111 videos now, over 111 videos at youtube.com/CWE Company. Send show-related emails, suggestions, questions, concerns, logo contest entries, columnist entries to cwecompany@gmail.com. Interact on the forum, wrestletalkshow.webs.com. Click on the PayPal button. Donate as little or as much as you want. If you can't donate, that's great. We understand it. Next best thing is word of mouth and subscribers. Remember to like, leave us feedback, friend us on Facebook and Twitter. And until our next episode, ladies and gentlemen, where we will highlight the shareholders conference days before the first quarter of 2011 results come in. I thank you for your time, but I've got to go take care of a couple of things and essentially eat dinner. Have a great night, folks. Again, youtube.com/CWE Company. This is Joshua Zimmerman. Have a great night, and our next installment will be up later tonight or first thing tomorrow. Thanks, guys.